Welcome to the Back to Basics podcast, a space where we share refreshing and honest conversations on all things pregnancy, birth, and parenting. I'm your host, Nicole, and I'm a mom, holistic childbirth educator and coach, and founder of Ruby Mamas. Today we have Thitu Kariba Garang. Thitu is a mom, author, content creator, and counseling psychologist. She shares about the importance of working on yourself first, her 3 births, and the steps she took to ensure that she had everything the way she wanted for her postpartum. She also goes into guest etiquette during the early postpartum and why you need to take responsibility for yourself and your environment.
I'm Thitu Kariba Garang. I'm a counseling psychologist, content creator, and I like to use the word impactor instead of influencer because I'm not trying to get you to, per se, do anything. I'm just trying to create an impact and have you be empowered to do things for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'm a mother of 3 and I'm a wife. A stay home and work from home mom. Yeah. So, and as backward as it may seem to some people, I really feel like one of my dreams is to be a good wife and a good mother, truly, because I understand that the foundation of any nation begins in the home with the parents. It's not just the mother; it's both.
Okay,
it's both with yourself, because if you are not okay, mm-hmm. And then you go and look for someone to complete you, that's one problem.
Yeah.
So then you have 2, messed up individuals who then decide to have kids. And that just becomes
a whole cycle.
Yeah. So definitely it has to start with you. So that's where my process of, healing, restoration, and rebuilding starts with you. Once you are standing on solid ground, then you can, take off from there to do whatever you want, whether it's in the home as a parent or out there as an entrepreneur or as an employee, whatever. But you have to launch from self, and you have to launch from solid ground.
Do you feel like it's gotten easier to work on you as the time has gone by?
I think it's always easy to work on yourself as long as you are willing to cut the crap, so to speak, mm-hmm. and just be true. Just keep it 100 with yourself. As soon as you decide to just be honest with yourself, it gets easy. That's all it takes. But as long as you're in denial and you're still telling yourself those little lies, then it's going to be difficult. I mean, you know what? Nobody's a perfect parent. I don't care if you are the Martha Stewart of parenting. Mm-hmm. We all know that doesn't exist. So yeah. Own your mess, and then from there, it gets simple after that.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. On that note, I think we can get into your birth stories.
Well, first of all, even after 3 kids, I have to say I hate being pregnant. Not to be confused with I hate my child, because people just throw this big blanket over everything. Mm-hmm. I hate being pregnant. There is this freedom I have with being able to do what I want, drink what I want, eat what I want, go where I want, Yeah. And then you get pregnant and there's something growing inside of you. It is not considerate of you. It does not ask your permission or consent. It takes what it wants and leaves you to fend for yourself, Mm-hmm. So I hate being pregnant. I hate the fact that when I get tired at the end of the day, I can't put the mzigo down, You take it to bed with you, and then, you can't sleep because, pregnancy. Mtoto amelalia one side, I don't know.
Stepping on your rib.
Laliang on a nerve. Oh. So I totally hate being pregnant. Because, we hear women saying, it's my body, I should do what I want. That goes out the window once you're pregnant. And nobody will ever understand that unless you have a sort of physical ailment, that's mm-hmm. taking over your body. That's somebody who can come and say, I understand what it feels like to not have control of your body. So I don't like being pregnant. But it's something I decided to do, other than my first one, which was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a book, My Crown of Beauty for Ashes, and I talk about how my son came to be. So there's a lot going on there, my firstborn. And I was a single mom then. I'm not going to talk about my child's biological father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to talk about my part in it, which is what I advocate. A lot of people say I'm blaming the woman or the mother, or victim blaming. First of all, you're not a victim if it's something you chose to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that. You can't, if you went gambling out of choice and you lost all your money, you're not a victim. If someone steals your money, you're a victim. So once you indulge in sexual activity, there are one of many things that could happen. So you're not a victim of an unexpected pregnancy. It's just one of the many consequences of having sex.
Mm-hmm.
So for one, I chose to do that. I wasn't in a good place at all. So I was, I wasn't in a good place, which means I wasn't making good decisions, which means I didn't pick a good guy, which means I ended up suffering the consequences of that. So I'm not going to blame him. I'm going to blame myself for making such life-changing decisions with such messed up mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say it that way. So that was kind of tough, being single and a parent, but you know what? It's a lot easier than being yoked with a person who would have made it all worse. However, I have an amazing family.
Mm-hmm.
They're very supportive, and they kicked right into gear. In fact, my dad was one of the options my dad threw right off the table was, okay, here you are, you're pregnant. I can adopt your child, or we can help you raise this child.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great support system. With my mother, I remember her saying, I can't believe that you're pregnant. You should have known better. And I didn't take it well initially, but as time passed, I thought about what she said, and I said, yeah, I should have known better. But who's there to teach me? So I had to realize that I needed to start learning about sex, who to have it with, when to have it with. I needed wisdom and knowledge and understanding. So I quickly went into that. There's a school near my house. I hope the kids making noise is not making noise. The kids having fun. Playing is not interfering.
Don't worry, we can hear you fine.
With my second and third, they came from my husband. That was also difficult in itself because regardless of the fact that we were in the right place, traditionally, we didn't get the go-ahead to marry. And it had nothing to do with anything other than that tradition and custom. So I guess there was a waiting and hoping that he would change his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when that didn't happen, they either, chose to accept or just turn their attention to somebody else. So there was the difficulty in my pregnancy with that, the stress of there's really nothing wrong with you, but what you were born as.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing I could do to change that. So there was the stress of feeling inadequate, based on nothing else than being born to the family and the tribe that I was born into. So with my second born, somewhere along the way, I remember having contractions. I think it was 5 months, and I started to dilate. So I dilated a few centimeters, and the doctors were like, "You've got to stop stressing." And I had to change my mind. And that's the beautiful thing about the mind. Your situation may not change, but your mind can. And you can change your mind anytime. And I decided, you know what? This is who I am. If it was a habit, or something, at least I could look into it and see about fixing it or changing it or whatever. But my tribe and who I was born as, I can't change that. So I'm just going to settle into it and focus on the fact that right now I'm pregnant and my unborn child and myself and my family need me to be the best I can be. So I worked on just getting healthy. And I designed a program called Fitness for Two, because at the time I was a Zumba instructor. So I just customized it for pregnant women. And it was really great because, when you're dancing to music, it makes you feel good and forget everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I designed that program, and I actually just got back into classes and teaching Zumba while pregnant. And because my first pregnancy was a hospital birth and it wasn't very pleasant for me, I also wanted to find an alternative. So with that, I found a lady who runs a company called Eve's Mama. She's called Lucy Moshiri. She was an in-hospital midwife, and she decided to leave the hospital and became a home birthing assistant, if I could say that. Because with birth, you just assist. You don't do the work.
Yeah.
And so with the second born and the third born, I had out of hospital births. The first one was at the Eve's Mama Birth Center. At the time, it was in Kilimani.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good because I went online and started looking at natural births, and baby girl is like, no, I want my mommy. But yeah, YouTube is a web of information that's great. So I started doing the hypnobirthing and learning about that there, getting my mind ready, learning about natural pain management. And when the time came, I remember my water breaking in the car, and I remember actually apologizing to my husband. I was so calm. I was so chilled. And I told my husband, I looked at my husband, I said, oh man, my water just broke in the car. I am so sorry. We'll get the car washed. I'll even for it. And he's like, woman, seriously? That's what you're thinking about right now? I'm like, yeah. And I got to Eve's Mama, and there was the guard who came. It was in the evening. The guard came to open the door. And because my pants were wet, I was like, I don't want to come out the car because he's going to think I wet my pants. Yeah. And I mean, what kind of grown woman wets my pants? And my husband was like, your train of thought is really so far away from what's happening right now. But that's how calm I was, Mm-hmm. I can say it was a pain-free birth, being that I was freed from the experience of the pain that was actually happening. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about other things. And I remember having a contraction, and then Lucy was like, let's go upstairs. And I told her, no, I want to stay here. Let's talk for a while, maybe have a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, you're so mellow that you don't even realize how that it's time to give birth. And as I was walking up the stairs, I just started to feel something in between my legs. I had my clothes on. She was still like, okay, let me get like the equipment to monitor the heartbeat and everything. And then I was like, oh, I don't think we're going to have time for that. I can feel something in between my legs.
Wait, you felt the head?
Yeah. And she's like, you're so calm. I don't know if you're serious. But as soon as I got on all fours and she helped just pull down my pants, it was just plop, it just fell out. And she's like, oh, there she is. Hi, baby. How are you? And my husband I just saw him leaning against the wall, like just sliding down against the wall, looking like, oh my God,
what the hell just
came
happened?
out of you. Yeah. And it was so interesting because nobody knew what time it was. Because of how calm I was, nobody had figured that it was really that time.
Yeah.
So even Lucy was like, I don't even know what time you give birth, and so on and so forth. But because my son was there, not in the room, for those of you who might be like, oh my God, he wasn't in the actual room, he was in the house. He was like, oh, it was 10. He shouted from the next room, it was 10 something, you know?
I love that.
Yeah, so I waited until, the cord stopped pulsing. She was breastfeeding a little bit. And then right after we cut the cord, Lucy and my husband took the baby and I went to shower, I still had the placenta. So she was like, I think you have a full bladder. So just go and pee and the placenta will fall out. And that's simple. And then, unlike the hospital, I had freedom immediately to do whatever I want. So she's like, take a shower, take the longest shower you want. Hot, cold, it doesn't matter. We are just going to, with your husband, run the test on the baby. So she just gave my husband the baby and she was like, okay, tickle the baby's feet and see if the baby moves. Okay, so that's working. Do this, do that. They did a series of tests while I was just showering and relaxing. And after that, she was not even like trying to push me. She was like, are you ready to hold the baby? And I'm like, I'm hungry. I want tea or whatever it is. And she's like, sure. So my husband was holding her and my son, and it was just very chilled and relaxed. The idea was that we would order a pizza when we got to the birth center. So the speed at which she came was unexpected. So I didn't get to order the pizza. So I was really hungry. But my mother-in-law brought me this South Sudanese porridge, medida, and it has peanut butter and, vanilla yogurt mixed in there. So that kick of energy from the peanut butter was really what I needed. And my mom came in the morning and saw the baby, and that was it. I was just ready to go home. The only difference was that I was still starving. I really wanted like a proper meal. Yeah. So since we were in Kilimani, we went to Yaya.
After the baby.
After birth, I was like, can we go to Yaya? I need a sandwich. So I remember going to Alexandra's and I was craving their salmon sandwich with the cheese, all the stuff. And we sat there. I put the baby on the table with the rock, the seat chair or car seat, whatever you want to call it. And I just sat there and ate my sandwich like there was no one else around. And I could see everyone kind of looking at me like, what is going on? It's fresh out the womb. And I was like, yeah. And everyone's like, oh, we had you give birth, calls coming in. And they're like, so you must be so tired. Uko wapi? I'm like, I'm at Yaya.
Can you imagine?
And then I went home later and just kind of relaxed. And the beauty with having an out-of-home birth is I didn't need to go to the hospital until 6 weeks. So the baby hadn't been immunized at all. And Lucy came home, she would come home and hold the baby so I can shower, check on us, whatever the case is. So that's definitely a difference between everyone trying to control your movements in a hospital and having an out-of-hospital birth. A lot of people might be like, what if something went wrong? Now, there was like a 40 to 60 page birth plan that was prepared, including all the emergency steps that you take. If you want to have an ambulance at the birth, you can. But the other thing was that we had like 4 hospitals, like 5 to 10 minutes away from where I gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my file ready. Before you can actually have an out of hospital birth, you have to have a scan in a hospital that will clear you to have that. So they will look and see, okay, the baby, the cord is nowhere around the neck, so on and so forth. Your blood pressure is good. You're good to go. The other thing is that the midwife has a bag of all these things that check your heartbeat, the baby's heartbeat, your blood pressure. She has all sorts of jabs and things that she comes ready with that she can give you. For example, if you hemorrhage, they have, I think, vitamin whatever, K,
Mhm.
D, I don't know,
Yeah.
to help with, the clots or whatever it is.
Vitamin K.
Yeah, and she's looking at you for hours before anything. So she's able to tell an hour before that something's not going the way it should and get you to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, you need wisdom, you need knowledge and information for anything in life. So even with your birth, just do the due diligence. You've got months and months of preparation. So look into it and go to the right places for birth classes. Like with Lucy and Eve's mama, they have such thorough birth classes, such thorough ones that you feel in control,
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to also tell for yourself that something's off. I didn't need somebody to tell me that my baby had dropped. I knew.
Yeah.
And I could actually feel myself and hold my baby's head. And I was able to tell Lucy, okay, yeah, the baby's head has engaged. His head is now in the position. So she teaches you all these things, and you feel empowered. Whereas I would say in a hospital, you kind of are looking and waiting to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the looking and kind of waiting to be told kind of person. I kind of want to have some control and also just shape my future with knowledge and wisdom and be able to make decisions.
Yes.
But of course, I was ready to go into hospital should an emergency have come up. At the end of the day, it is about getting baby out and mom being safe as well.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 questions. How long was your labor for the second one? Because it was really quick.
Well, the labor is long. The labor was long. I started in the morning at around 6. I had the baby at 10:30. But it's also the stages of labor.
Mm-hmm.
The initial stage for me was long because like I said, I was a Zumba instructor and I was laying in my bed watching Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never found Game of Thrones before. I waited for labor to start. So I was like, of course, for those who watched it, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So I lay in bed just focused on this Game of Thrones. And because I wasn't moving and I wasn't active, my body went into rest mode. But as soon as I got up and started moving, my labor progressed. So that's one of the things I also realized was different. Like in the hospital, they want you to lie in the bed, and that can take hours. Mm-hmm. But when you're up and moving, dancing, walking, swimming, whatever, the labor progresses really fast. So that was the difference. It was long earlier in the morning because I was doing nothing. And then when I started to take walks and dance and whatever, it just moved. It shifted hour to hour. It was, okay, you're in stage 1, stage 2. I mean, if anything, I would have given birth in the car. It's how fast the end, the two last stages happened because I was moving. I would advocate for movement. And I would also advocate for women not to dash to the hospital early. Just wait it out.
Yeah, it's not like the movies.
Yeah, I think it's called 511. If you have a contraction what was it?
Every 5 minutes?
A contraction every 5 minutes, lasting 1 minute. For 1 whole hour, then get to the hospital. So, contractions coming every 5 minutes, lasting 1 minute, and that's been happening for 1 whole hour, then get to the hospital. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said that Lucy came over to your house. Did she come over for a week, or how long was that period?
It's the whole 6 weeks period. So she'll check on you. Yeah, every week she'll check on you all day if you want. You're texting back and forth. I have seen Lucy going into the lengths of finding somebody a house help, because the person was just like, "Hey, you can't do all this right now." But basically, she just comes, she checks on you, she checks on baby. If you had a tear, she might check on that. She's just talking to you, counseling. How are you doing? Are you sleeping? Is the baby feeding? Are you eating? Are you happy? Are you feeling anxious? All the signs to see whether things are normal. Are you going into like postpartum depression? What's happening?
That sounds amazing.
So that friend you need. Yeah, it is actually. And it works for all of us because she'll sit and talk to me. She'll talk to my husband. She'll talk to my son.
Yeah.
And see how everyone is coping and help with tips and advice. So, yeah.
So she cares for the whole family, not just you and the baby.
Yeah, because she understands that if the family is not okay, then the baby is not going to be okay, And if mom is not okay, then the family is not going to be okay, kind of thing. So, and that it's not just about mom, it's about dad and the siblings,
Yeah.
She even really talked to my mom because my mom was very anxious about me not having an in-hospital birth. So she invited my mom over to the birth center. It took an hour just going through the process, walking around, seeing how prepared Lucy was, asking all the questions. And my mom was like, okay, I'm sold. So it's just a whole family experience. If you want to have everybody and your dog at the birth, you can. Lucy will just make it happen.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I think we're now looking at your third.
My third was amazing, the birth itself. Let me just point out, I hate the 40 weeks of pregnancy. I absolutely love labor and birth because for me, I'm just like, wow, I don't care how painful it is. We're dealing with a few hours, then this is over. And I can have my body back,
you're like, I'll do it.
It's not month after month. Yeah. So, a few days before my last born birth, my daughter was in hospital. She was there for a few days. So she had been admitted. And one thing I learned with Lucy is that with all animals, you can start and stop labor, So how stressed a mother is during labor has so many effects on the actual progression of labor. So throughout the week when my daughter was in hospital, I could feel myself contracting. I even got the show, everything. And I remember thinking, you're not going to give birth right now. Your daughter is in the hospital. You need to be there for her. So this birth will have to wait. And that was my decision. And I remember the doctors at Gertrude saying, listen, this is a children's hospital. We have nothing that can help you give birth. So please,
don't do it.
If you need to come, just listen to your body. And I would go to Gertrude, lie down in the bed as my husband and everybody else plays with my daughter. And I remember the house help we had at the time laughing because I said this very casual, kind of weird prayer. And I said, you know what, God, I can't give birth now. There's too many things happening. So, washa cartoon huko kwa tumbo, huyu mtoto aone, asikuwe anaangalia cartoon and stays occupied. And my household burst into laughter. She was like, first of all, do you realize you're praying out loud? Second, is that an actual prayer? I was like, yes, it's a very real prayer. And then the day my daughter was discharged from hospital, we came home, and I exhaled and I said, okay, I'm ready for you now. And I'd talked to my baby. I was like, Garang, I'm ready for you now. So Nyandeng is home. I'm ready for you. You can come now. I rested, and sure enough, the contractions started. And in the morning, I was progressing very, very well. And again, I called Lucy because I wasn't sure if I was in actual labor or not. I did everything. I took the cold showers. You're told take a shower. If the contractions stopped, then it wasn't real labor. So I took a shower. The contractions stopped, then started later. So she was just like, let me just come by and feel your belly and see how it's behaving. So she came by and she didn't leave. I remember at one point, I was just feeling irritated because I was in my bedroom, and I was just like, I'm feeling irritated. And I was looking out at the pool, and I was like, I want to go swimming. And Lucy was like, fine, let's go swimming. Perfect. So I got changed, around was it 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock? And then they sat by the pool with my daughter, my husband, and she told me, you swim, do what you want. So I went swimming, and as soon as I did a few laps, the labor changed from 0 to 100. I remember I even told her, guys, you have to get me out, help me get out of the pool, because now it was just one contraction after the other. And then I went to the room. I had a moment where I was resisting the birth, like I was clenching my body. And then I remember, because I had stayed in, for the months and months ahead, I had watched all these hypnobirthing videos, and they would keep reminding you to relax. And if you feel a certain way, it's your baby coming. So imagine yourself like a flower, just open up, So it really helped, because when I went into that panic mode, immediately the training I had been doing for months on end kicked in, and it's like, no, this is just your baby coming. So allow your body to open up. And immediately I was like, oh yeah, this is what it is. So I remember telling Lucy, okay, I'm ready now. I got into the birthing pool. This was actually set up by my husband in the bedroom. So I got in. The water was nice and warm. I relaxed, and immediately I just, relaxed, and my baby just came. So initially it was the head, obviously, thank God, or not obviously, but thank God. And I remember looking down and holding my baby's head between my legs. And then I remember watching him do that turn that they say they do. It was a new perspective, because when you're giving birth, you're always at the other end. But being able to look and see, oh, he's turning, was interesting.
Was this in the water?
And then, this was in the water.
Okay.
And then I now wanted to try this new method where you don't push, you just kind of let your body do its own natural thing. So I tried that, and it was interesting. I have it on camera as well, because we were just talking in between. Like, the baby's head is out and I'm there saying, yeah, so, what's for lunch or whatever. I can't remember the conversation, but it was very chilled. And then Lucy, again, like I always say, she's just there to assist. So my husband was to deliver the baby. So she just said, okay, let me just check where the cord is. Then after that, you just get ready to catch the baby. And sure enough, that's what they did. The cord was around his shoulder, kind of like a handbag.
Mm.
So that was the only part he was told, okay, swing the cord around. Again, she's just guiding you. Swing the cord around. Okay. Now just give a little like cough or whatever. Baby came. Husband delivered the baby and gave the baby to me. And immediately I was like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Very happy that he had arrived, and my husband was relieved, of course, and just went right into just keeping the baby warm and, creating an environment where they're not coming from the warm womb to shock.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there waiting for the cord to stop pulsing, and so that now we can finish with the placenta. And then I got to cut the cord myself, which was different. So dad delivered the baby, I cut the cord, and they went on to do their usual measurements and stuff of how big the baby was, while I was sitting in the water just kind of waiting for the placenta. And then it came out, and we put it in a Tupperware container that I had in the kitchen, and then we put that in the freezer. Yeah. And then I got out of the tub and went onto the bed, and I wanted to also try this thing called the breast crawl, where you put the baby on your stomach and the baby has to like crawl up to the breast. So we did that. That was fun. And then immediately my son came from school, and, my husband was like, surprise, you have a little brother. And my first phone call is always to my mom, who's always like, but why don't you sound like stressed and tired? So Lucy and my husband are always on to tell her, yeah, by the way, the baby's here. And then she hears the baby crying. She's like, but why are you so chilled?
Yeah.
So that's really the birth situation. I'm just ready to eat after that. So we had my mother-in-law gave us the gift of a chef for that period of time, which was an awesome gift, by the way. I have to tell everybody out there, if you're thinking, what can I get my friend? Get her somebody who can come and cook for her.
Oh, yes.
And then leave. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great gift. And the guy was so stressed because, he's a man and he's not prepared for birth. So he had cooked everything under the sun. Mandazi, cake, I don't know what. So when I came out, I was so glad to find this buffet of food. And I just sat and ate. Yeah, and everyone's like, how is it that you're just always walking about after birth and everything? I'm like, first of all, it wasn't a C-section.
Yeah.
Second, without the stress, I'm just really ready to just eat and watch a movie or something.
Right. Birth can
and
be
that's
so
the
normal.
Environment that you can create. Yeah, you create the environment because it's in my house. I know where cups are. I know where spoons are. I know everything. I can walk around and feel free.
Mm-hmm.
The one rule I always have is for 1 month, I don't want visitors. Take it however you want. It's not about you, but you feel free to make it about yourself. I just want to be at home, discovering who this little human being is, and trying to see how to adjust to the new. 1, 2, my children are not immunized at the time. I wait till the 6-week visit to the hospital. So that's even when they get the BCG. Or later, if I'm not ready, I go later. I'm not like going to rush to get the vaccinations or stress myself.
Yeah.
But we definitely go out, and everyone's like, oh, you're leaving the house, the baby hasn't been vaccinated. I'm like, you know what? God created us very able to deal. I mean, what were people in the Stone Ages doing?
Yeah.
But I also control it where it's not so many people, but I'm out and about. Like my daughter had a school fun day, so we went. I think it was on the 3rd day. I went.
Yeah.
And had a good old time. I got this turtle wraps from this lady, Mama Turtle Wrap, and I just literally would wear the baby throughout. And that was great because we really bonded. My husband had his own turtle wrap, and when he was doing things, he would just wear the baby,
Yeah,
like a wallet to your chest. Just wear the baby and do whatever.
exactly.
And that was the life I was living. And it doesn't stop certain things from happening. With all of my children, I've had postpartum depression, but it's not really about the environment without. It's more of the environment within. You have to understand that for 9 months you've been having a buildup of certain hormones, and then suddenly it's like you're plugged into a drip with a certain drug, and then suddenly it's taken out.
Yeah.
And a new one is plugged in. So you have withdrawals from the hormones that were there, and then new hormones. On top of that, sleepless, because this child is waking up every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So there's that. I go into postpartum depression, and it's good to be aware of that. So immediately I take on a counselor, and we do the counseling that's required. I deal with the anxieties I'm having, and we move on. The idea that you're not having postpartum depression is also a bit weird to me, because it's a real thing. And so my family is aware. We address it. My mom comes, we do counseling together if we need to. And that's where I also got the rule of 1 month, no visitors, because I really cannot be thinking about entertaining and trying to figure out what I'm going to cook for people who are coming to see the baby. Even on a regular day, having visitors takes it out of you. So why would I want you around when I've just gone through something so big and it's taken a lot of energy? So people get mad, which is fine by me. They're your feelings, own them. If you're mad, you're mad, that's fine. Other people, who know me, understand me. So they're like, I wanted to swing by and visit you, not the baby. You. And why I'm stressing that is because we have these people who want to come and visit the baby. For me, it's like, okay, the baby is like a few days old. They're usually asleep. So when you say you want to come and visit the baby, you want to hold the baby. I don't want you to hold the baby. I want that baby to sleep.
Yeah.
And then there's people who want to wake the baby and do things. I'm like, why are you waking the baby? Only for when the baby cries for you to give me the baby.
Imagine.
So if you want to come to visit me. And I make it very clear, I'm not cooking. In fact, if you're coming, come with food. And I love people who came over to my house with food. They went and got my favorite desserts, stuff like that. So
came to clean.
If you're coming within that month, come to help, come to clean, come to make me laugh, come to not necessarily give me motionnaire, but tell me what's happening out there, but don't come to tell me, oh, let me see the baby. Oh, you're looking a mess. Oh, yes. So control your environment.
Yes.
People will either get over it or they won't. It doesn't really matter to me. I really actually do not care. At that point, I go into mama bear, I go into selfish mode. It's about me, my family, and that's that. And that's what I'm protecting. So for that 1 month, do not come to my house. I have immediate family. So my mother's, siblings. And if you come, be ready to hold the baby, change diapers, do something to contribute to the family. Don't just come to get me out of bed to come and figure stories. If you come to my house, or if you go to somebody's house and they have fallen asleep, the mother in particular. Please don't be like, I can't believe she slept and she knew we were coming. Ay.
Wow.
He's exhausted. A good friend will come and see if there's dishes that need to be cleaned, clean the dishes, do some dusting, prepare a meal for her and for her family, figure stories with the others who are awake. And if you don't get to see her that day, leave a nice note and be like, hey, mama, I came, you are asleep, brought you your favorite cake, you know, we chit-chatted and watched a movie with the kids, and so on and so forth. I'll pass by another day. That's it. But there are people who actually come and catch feelings that hujapika chai, ama umelala, ama hujaoga.
And then?
Not me. So, in fact, don't come. I'm very okay. I prepare people at 8 months. Oh, you're going to have a baby. When can we come? I'm like, don't come. They're shocked. I do what's called a sip and see. So after a month or 2 months, I organize. I have a nice little party. Now everybody comes at the same time, one day. So I deal with you once and for all. You come. It's called a sip and see. You bring some wine, bring whatever you want. Sip and see the baby. Don't come empty-handed. Don't be tacky, people, please. Atakani baby wipes. Bring potluck as well. You know, that's what we do. But these are just the things I've done with my friends and family who understand me. Some people may feel offended, but offense is free. It doesn't cost you anything. Go ahead, feel offended. You know, you're allowed to feel it. So come, potluck, drinks, we have a party, you see the baby all day, then go. And then after that, if we are not close friends, we'll see each other on the streets. But if we're close friends and you're my inner circle, then you'll be seeing me when you see me. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So protect your environment, protect your mind. Your peace of mind, your joy cannot come at the price of other people's feelings and comfort. You're not going to make me uncomfortable so you can feel comfortable, especially in my own house.
Yes.
You're not going to make me feel uncomfortable about my body. You focus on yours. I deliberately wear pajamas after birth to let people know hakuna mali naenda.
Please.
I am dressed for the part of sleep. So this is my intention, to rest, to breastfeed, and to eat. People are like, Sultanona. I'm like, I am eating. I'm being nyonyuad. Leave me alone. When the time comes, the weight will shed off by itself.
You know.
And then there's the one I need to work out. But leave me alone. In fact, stop telling me about what I need to not eat. Kuja na cake, ile ya chocolate, kuja na sandwich, kuja na chipo. I'll deal with those things later.
Yeah.
I'm in no hurry.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing you need. And be free to tell people to shut up. And even if it's your own mother, find a very loving way to say, Mom, if you're not going to say good things right now, please be quiet. You're not contributing to my state of mind. You're giving me stress. So please keep quiet. Or, Mom, please don't come today. You know? Or just tell your friend, just shut up. You're irritating me. What are you saying? Friends who can handle you. But protect yourself, your baby, your peace of mind, and your joy at all costs. And I don't care about your tradition, customs, kunywa mtoto. Shut up. Leave me alone. My baby, their hair, we will deal with it. I shaved my baby's hair, I think, like 2 years later. Nothing happened to them. They did not get brain damage. Nothing happened. So calm down, you know. But it's good to establish that way before birth. Don't like shock people suddenly. Just create your birth plan and your parenting plan ahead and start telling people, guys, this is what I'm doing. And when I give birth, I would appreciate you don't come to the house unless I tell you. And if I tell you to come and you find me asleep, please do this. Please, like, prepare people. But all that contributes to, the postpartum depression and all these things. And because I know I get it, I protect myself early and I prepare. Yeah.
I think that's really good advice. On that note, we can end it. If you have any more comments to add.
Well, I just have to say that we have to take personal responsibility for everything that happens in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be our fault, but it's our responsibility to deal with it. When it comes to pregnancy and parenting, you've got to customize your life and your parenting to you. Don't go on Instagram and all these places and see these little Stepford wives with white, perfectly sanitized kitchen counters and t-shirts so perfectly crisp and clean and start thinking you're a bad mother. Live your truth. Just be in where you are. These people could have a whole vast of stuff that you don't see. Coming to clean, watch the baby, get her dressed, put in makeup, take a professional picture so that you believe a certain thing. There are people who live that life every day. There are people who wake up extra early to put on makeup and wear their costume for the day. That costume that dictates that I am this perfect thing. Don't look at that and feel a certain way. Just look at where you are and customize your life to yourself. That includes your family planning. Please, I'm married into a people that on average have like 6 children. South Sudanese people have a lot of children, but it's my body, it's my wallet, it's my mind, it's my ability. I have contributed. I keep saying, excuse me, I have more kids than the animals that Noah put in the ark 2 by 2. Out of that, down by 1.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I have 3 kids. And after that, I tied my tubes. It's not a discussion for the community or the village or the church or anybody.
Yeah.
It's up to me and my husband. We have to look and say, can we afford to do this anymore? Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. Can we afford this? That's where the decisions lie. You can't go having kids when you're not ready. Even if you've been married 3 years, enjoy 3 years of honeymooning. If that's what it takes before you decide you're going to have kids. Have kids when you're ready. Deal with your pregnancy in your own way. This thing of, me when I was pregnant, sikuwa nafanya. You have no idea what that person is going through. Just because you've been pregnant doesn't mean you know. So for us who are on the outside, just be quiet. Opinions are not always welcome unless they've been asked for. So stop talking. And be okay saying no and stop and I don't like and I don't want. Be ready to state what you want, what you like, what you want, and then get to work creating that. So I'm not having children for the community. I'm having the ones that my husband and I have discussed.
Yeah.
I am not aiming for the community. I am doing me. My parenting is not how you parented. It is okay. I have a goal. I have an understanding. So if my understanding is that the family is the cornerstone of the nation, and I understand that if you want a better world, you've got to have a better family structure. Because if you don't raise your kids, then you're going to be out there dealing with tyrants. I saw a quote that said, if you don't raise your kids, if you spoil your kids, you're going to raise your grandkids. But if you raise your kids, you get to spoil your grandkids. I would like to spoil my grandkids. Therefore, I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to set up certain structures, whether it's religious, whether it's a belief system I have. I'm going to put it into my children now because there's something I want later in life.
Yeah.
So somebody else coming to tell you their way doesn't work, and you need to be able to, in either a harsh way or in a polite way, say, listen, It's great that you have that, but my family is my family, and I'm customizing it for me, just the way you have a suit tailor-made to you. So don't be ashamed to tell people or scared to tell people. Just put it down nicely. Another thing is you can listen to somebody, because sometimes you may not want to tell your mother or your father certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can listen to them, nod your head, but when you go back to your house, practice what you want. They're not there in your house all the time or your bedroom. So practice what you want. You don't have to share everything with everybody. You don't have to. I shared that I tied my tubes because mine is to also educate and inform others. But I didn't have that discussion with my mother-in-law or my mother or whoever. I did, and then I go and talk about it. So that's the other thing I would advise. Do the thing and then share after the fact. Because as you're doing it, oh Lord, it's going to be terrible. Discuss it with the person you need to discuss it with, either yourself, your husband. That's where that discussion happens. And then you implement. Then later, it could be even a year later, you start to tell people, oh, by the way, if they start to ask too many questions, oh, how come you guys are not having any more kids? Oh, we decided not to have any more kids. And yeah, I got my tubes tied. What are they going to do then?
Yeah.
You know? So protect yourself. That's the only thing I keep saying. Protect yourself, your family, your peace of mind at all costs. Customize your life, your family, your parenting style to you and nobody else. Take your time and pace yourself. This is a lifelong journey, because for me, I believe my children will outlive me. So why am I in a hurry to do things?
Yeah.
Just pace yourself. My kids will be around till they're 80, 90, 100, God willing, you know. So I have time. We are human beings. We can always learn. Like now, this whole corona thing has kids out of school or whatever. You're like, oh my God, my kids skipped a year. Relax. You know, teach them the fundamentals of housekeeping and cooking and all those things while they're at home.
Yeah.
Don't worry about school and classes. So what if your kid was made to repeat a class? It's okay. We've seen situations where the brightest of brightest who had A's are not doing so well. And the ones who didn't seem to be able to do it in class are like entrepreneurs and doing amazing things. This life, there's nothing like, oh, you know, this rat race. It's not a rat race. You're not a rat, first of all. Walk.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. It's just marathon or a walk. Take your time. Because when you're busy sprinting and running, you're not seeing the obstacles in your way, and you trip and you fall and you get hurt and you might not be able to get up again. So take your time and walk it out so that you can see where you're going. And when you're not sure, sit down, think, look for wisdom and knowledge and information from people who've been there that you trust, and then make a decision. At the end of the day, whatever decision you make, the consequences fall on you. It's your responsibility. So if you have to make big life-changing decisions, don't you want to take the time? You know, having kids to begin with, having kids is a big change to your life. So you better think about it and think about it hard. And if you're not ready to have kids, then maybe you're not ready to have sex. This is speaking out of wedlock, you know. In marriage, understand that you are going to have sex, and family planning is always like 99%. So have a plan B, which is, even if we've tried not to have kids, we might just have one. So be ready. I guess that's it. Just own whatever situation, own it. Your child, own that. Your parenting, own that. Your birth, own it. Your pregnancy, own it. It doesn't matter what 7 billion other people have gone through. This is your unique one. Yes. And you can have it however you want. Don't let anybody talk down or over or at you. It's your life. It's only you. You know, and you matter. You matter. I don't care how many people in the world there are. You matter. So enjoy your life. Enjoy the breath that you take every day. Enjoy every sunrise and sunset. Just enjoy it. Hakuna haraka. Hakuna haraka. There are things that are urgent, but you will know what those things are. The rest, just take your time with it. And I keep saying it, seek wisdom. Seek wisdom. When in doubt, don't do anything other than stay there. Seek wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And then make a move. That's it.
Thank you for sharing. I think there's a lot people can learn from what you said. Right.
Yeah, learning never stops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
That's it for this week. If you'd like to share your story, you can email us at rubymamas14@gmail.com. To join the community, follow the podcast and leave a review or comment. Thanks for tuning in.